Welcome everyone to Inform New Hampshire. My name is Dean. This is Richie to my right, my co-host, and we are broadcasting on Channel 23 Manchester Cable in Manchester, New Hampshire. We also have a Facebook channel, Inform New Hampshire, and a YouTube channel, Inform New Hampshire. So please stop by and give us a subscribe or hit the like button if you will. Richie and I are concerned about the direction of our country. We've been doing this for a year now, where our goal is to simply inform people of some of the news information and, of course, some commentary on things that are not reported in the mainstream media, things that are jeopardizing the structure and the nature of our country. It gets pretty convoluted, and it's a very deep rabbit hole once you start going down and doing the research. But as many of you know who have heard us before, there's a lot to talk about. So today we're going to get started with, we want to talk about the National Liberty Alliance today. And one of the, the main goal of the National Liberty Alliance is to restore the common law grand jury. And Richie and I both are highly aware of the value of the common law grand jury, which was taken from us in 1946. It is a sort of fourth branch of government that doesn't really belong to the government. It belongs to we the people, and it's been in place since about the Magna Carta in 1215. And it's a tool for us to use to keep our government in check, to keep our politicians in check, to prevent the overreach of government into our personal lives and prevent the usurpation of our fundamental rights as man and woman on the land. So that was taken from us, and as you can see, if you look over time, since 1946, of course, the government has become more and more invasive, more and more into our personal lives, and has completely overrun the states with regards to states' rights as well as individual rights throughout the country. One of the particular usurpations of fundamental rights that happened here in New Hampshire with one of our friends is Jerry DeLamus, who went to Nevada last year or 2 years ago to support the movement out at the Bundy Ranch, which was simply to protest, simple, polite protest against the government stealing land from private citizens that had been there for over 100 years. And Jerry came home and was a free man for 2 years, and then all of a sudden the federal government decided to kidnap him, arrest him, and incarcerate him. And as of last week, he's been in jail for a year now. And unfortunately, they don't treat him very good there. Although he's in pretty good spirits. But there is a website that you can go to, Richie, if you want to talk about that.
Yes, what we'd like to ask you to do, since Jerry's been in jail for over a year now, is if you have it in your heart to send money and you can afford to do so, we'd appreciate that you're sending money to him to help in his legal aid fund. You can send it to freejerrydelemus.com, and that's JERRYDELEMUS. I'm sure him and his wife Sue would appreciate it. Also, keep them in your prayers. I say a prayer for Jerry every night, that he's returned safely and quickly. I wanted to say something else before we get started on the National Liberty Alliance. I watched a video about 10 days ago, I believe it was. It was Mike Gill and the state of corruption. And it's funny because I was watching the video in court, and I had just done a show with Dean about 2 weeks before that about court officers, or at least a partial show. We talked about court officers and the things that they do wrong. And surer than scat, they did something wrong. When the judge, what's the word I'm looking for, adjourned the meeting, the hearing, and started to leave from the bench, Mike Gill said, you're going to, he either said jail or prison, I'm not sure which, but he said, you're going to jail, you blanking, blanking, blanking. And all of the court officers kind of jumped, hey, 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 and started charging for him. They didn't touch him, but they motion towards him. And the first thing I thought of, just what I had talked about a couple of weeks before on this show, they did. I said all Mike Gill did was he rendered an opinion. Well, no, I'm sorry. I'll do this chronologically. He made a statement of fact, which is the judge going to jail, because that's where a lot of these judges are going. And then he made a statement of fact, and he said, you're a so-and-so and so-and-so, which I can't repeat on the air here. But he in no way disrupted the court because it was adjourned for the day. He didn't assault the judge. He clearly made a statement of fact. These are the things that I'm talking about, and I'm really, as funny as it might sound from me, I'm not being funny. You have a right to say your opinion. The judges in this state, and all of the states, are crooked. Admiralty jurisdiction doesn't apply. The law of the sea doesn't apply. What they've done is criminal conversion, and they will pay for it eventually. So some of the judges in this state, I believe, will turn around and they'll start complying, I hope, because they'll realize that the only course for them is to sit in a 6-by-9-foot jail cell for the next 20 years or better. And I can tell you from at least doing that 8 hours a day, 8 hours at a time, working there, it's not the place you want to be. Especially if you've put people in there and you're going to visit with them. They're not too receptive for people like that. So for all you judges out there, you might want to change your way. What you're doing is wrong, and ignorance is no excuse of the law. Enough said with that. We wanted to talk about the National Liberty Alliance because, as Dean said, the National Liberty Alliance deals with resurrecting, or restoration, whatever you want to call it, the common law and the court of record. Because that doesn't exist today, or if it does, we're having a hard time finding it, especially in the state of New Hampshire. But I've searched for years and years for an answer. And I can tell you emphatically, because I have talked, and Dean can attest to this because he's been with me, we have talked to numerous organizations over the years and told them of our plan, and not one of them offered any plan of their own. It said we have a solution to America's problems. So what I'm telling you is the National Liberty Alliance does. It's to resurrect the common law and the court of record. Because the court of record, if you look at the 7th Amendment, I won't make a mistake today on that, the 7th Amendment, where it says no fact tried by a jury can be otherwise re-examined in any court in the United States, what that means is the people, the tribunal of the people in a court of record, all right, the decision they make is final and binding. And the only time it can be overturned is if they violate the rights of any people. So for the judges who are going to be coming in before these courts of records, these common law grand juries or the common law petite juries, you might want to reconsider what you've done for your whole career. Extracting money from people illegally, and it's all illegal. All of it's, well, I won't say all of it, but 90% of it's illegal. Probably all of it. I can't think of any. This is why I'm encouraging people. There are people out there who want to take your rights away from you. And I hope everybody knows this, because they've been doing it for years. The TSA shouldn't exist. I don't give a damn about terrorism. The police and all the 50,000 people in law enforcement around this country can handle the terrorism if we get the illegal aliens out of the country. The point is, the TSA searches you at the airport because you're going down to see Mickey at Disney World. Okay? It's a violation of your Fourth Amendment right. They're trying to strip your rights. Look at what they're doing in New York. They're trying to take the guns now or put prohibition on guns. They're doing it time and time again here and there. And granted, in New Hampshire, they did away with it and they got constitutional carry now. And I don't want to be someone who's known for complaining. However, what the state gives you, the state can take away. It's an unalienable right granted by God, your creator, not by the state. With that, they're trying to take your rights. I'll say this quickly and I'll turn it over to you, Dean. They're trying to take your rights from you. And they have in a lot of different areas, and I'm not going to go through mentioning them. The point I'm trying to make here is if these people are putting more energy into taking your rights than you're putting into it defending your rights, then you're going to lose them. This is the first time, and I'm 65 years old, first time in my lifetime that I've seen a president stand up the way he has. Even more than Kennedy. Kennedy wanted to do away with the bank, and they killed him for it. Trump is going after him like I've never seen anybody before. What I wanted to tell you is if you want to go with an organization that has a solution to the problem, it's the National Liberty Alliance. Please sign up for them. And for those of you, because I've heard this time and time again, for those of you who say, well, there's no enforcement mechanism, you're right, there is not one. However, the people are the enforcement mechanism, and enough people join, come on board, and make this happen. The government belongs to us. They're our public servants. So we need to be in force and together. Forget what we think about any of these stupid, I can't even think of the issues that we're confronted with. I don't even want to start, because I can't, there's too many of them. They put these in front of us to divide us, and what I'm trying to say is, center yourself around the Constitution. This is the law, not what someone tells you, not what you think, what you read. And that's one more thing. Please read the Constitution. But sign up for the National Liberty Alliance. It costs nothing. They would like your support, but that's up to you. They need your work, too. Anyway, I'll turn it back to you, Dean.
Thanks, Richie. Well, I have the National Liberty Alliance website up here in front of me. Unfortunately, we can't get it on the screen. However, I want you to know that it is nationallibertyalliance.org, and on that website there's a welcoming video. There's a plethora of information throughout the menus at the top, and one of the things on there is free courses. So you'll find that there is a Constitution course, which is a decent course, and there is a Constitution class I don't know much about, but there's a civics course, and this civics course is outstanding. It's 120 hours. It will bring you, your college degree in U.S. history and the government and where we are and who has usurped this country, or it will get somewhat into that. But it's a great civics course. It's not that difficult. It's free. You do have to sign up on the website to be a member to take the course, but you could give this course to your children. That it's something that they could understand as well. And again, this is simply the pertinent information, civics information that we the people ought to have had throughout our educational process. However, that process, number one, was taken over by government, and along with the national education, the NEA?
NEA, yeah.
National Education Association, which came into being, I think, in the 70s, and was, the public purpose for that was to improve on education. However, the subversive intention of that organization was to destroy the education here in the country. And if you look at some of the testimony by a whistleblower known as Asserby, is her name? I forget her full name.
I can't pronounce it, but it sounds
Iserby.
Iserby, yeah.
Yeah, Iserby. And she was actually nominated to the position, to the head of the National Education Association during the Reagan administration, under the assumption that that organization was going to be dismantled and ended. However, that didn't happen, and she was not properly vetted by the let's call it the deep state or the international banking cartel, which controls everything. And so she was actually someone who was in there that was simply an advocate for public education and educating our children. And so she became a whistleblower to expose the corruption and the deviant nature of those who sought to destroy the educational system within our country, which actually they've succeeded at very well. If you just take a look at some of the international statistics on where we stand as far as education, our general public at this point cannot even compete with the foreign countries around the world that are just crushing us on education. So anyway, National Liberty Alliance Civics course, it's a fantastic course. I'd invite you to go there and check it out. And back to you, Richie.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, because this is extremely important. For years now, the National Liberty Alliance, National Liberty Alliance, by the way, is an educational organization trying to teach people about the Constitution and history and where our government has gone wrong. And it's been 150 years. It goes back to the Civil War. what National Liberty Alliance has been trying to do, I don't know if they've been successful or not, but they've been trying to send out paperwork to every elected official, state and federal, in the United States of America. That'll show you what kind of a task they have, but they've been doing it for a few years now. And I got to tell you that I don't think the sheriffs in New Hampshire have read it, because they've sent out a lot of information, factual information, supported by case law, and the sheriffs still don't want to get it. The people elect them to do a job, and they're not doing the right job. They're still fighting for the banksters in the bar, not for the people. So what I'm trying to tell people, and I hope, check it out on your own. Please don't accept what I'm saying. But if you go to the website and you look at most recently, you can go to grand jury, I believe, is the tab up there. Do you still got it up there, Dean?
Yeah.
I believe it's the grand jury tab, and you go down under dockets.
Yep.
And on the left-hand column, those are the most recent filings they have. And you'll read those. I mean, I'm fascinated just reading them because of all the laws they have. You know, I didn't know this stuff until I started reading it. It's really, really educational. And this is my country, all right? The courts are mine, okay? I'm very selfish about that. They're mine. They're not Dean's. They're mine. They belong to us. Okay, we paid for those buildings with our tax dollars. We pay their salaries, and we pay them through tax dollars, corrupt fines and fees that they charge us and they're not supposed to, or through the CAFR accounts that they're not even supposed to have, but they have those also. And they've stolen the money from us to invest in the stocks and bonds in those CAFR accounts. So everything about this government is corrupt. Not everybody, but the government is. You know, when you get into a system, say you work 20 years in a department, and this could be the police, the courts, it doesn't really matter. What you learn is wrong. You don't know it's wrong. To find out that it is a culture shock. I admit that because it happened to me. But I'm telling you, it is totally wrong what most people are doing. Look, you have people out there like Sheriff, what's his name, Clark?
David Clark.
David Clark, yes. He's obviously someone who reads, and he understands that, hey, what is being done is not right. This is the way it should be done. I give the man a lot of credit, and I don't think he's 100% right, but he might not think I'm 100% right either. I give him a lot of credit because he took the time to read and understand what should be happening. The sheriffs out there, the chief law enforcement officer in the state, okay? They have more authority. There is no one in the United States of America who has more authority than a sheriff in his county. None. Not a U.S. Marshal, not an FBI, not DEA, not the President of the United States. You're the top dog, and that includes the governor. Why do you think you're the only elected law enforcement officer in the county, or in the state, excuse me, or in the country for that matter? Just sheriffs are the only ones that are elected. There's a reason for that. You're elected to protect the rights of the people. You're supposed to defend my rights, not abuse them, which is what you are doing now. And I'm not saying that you're doing it intentionally, but I'm sorry, ignorance is no excuse of the law, and people are trying to educate you. That's the National Liberty Alliance. Anyway, I strongly recommend that you reach out to the National Liberty Alliance, sign up, become a member, give them a year. I think 2017 is the year we have to do this. And if it doesn't happen, we're all in a lot of trouble. I'm not going to, well, if Donald Trump gets assassinated, God forbid, what are we going to do? Are you going to sit back right now and say, well, he's doing a job, he'll help me? Are you a 2-year-old or are you a grown man? Because if you're a grown man and you want to see things change, you got to make it happen. When your car breaks down, you can wait for the tow truck to come, which would be Donald Trump, or you can get out and find out what's wrong yourself and say, Jesus, maybe I can fix it. Give it a shot. Try. Then you're on your way before the tow truck even comes. This is what I'm talking about. Get out there and try. And everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but there's been complaints to me about, well, the law enforcement aspect of it, the enforcement mechanism. I understand that, but the people can be the enforcement mechanism if there's enough of us. If enough people give a damn about the rule of law in this country and what is happening, and it's corrupt as it can be, then we can make the change peacefully and lawfully. There's nothing, I'm not advocating anything other than that. Any other way is the last alternative you want to seek. Peacefully and lawfully, that's it. And I know Dean has been with National Liberty Alliance for a couple of years now, and has learned a tremendous amount, as I have. I'm still learning, as I'm sure Dean is too. I won't speak for him, but I'm sure he is too. There's so much information out there to learn. And all of the work has been done. The National Liberty Alliance.org website is jam-packed with information. Start reading. You don't have to read it all in one night. Read for a half an hour a night. It might take you 20 years. No, I'm joking. It might take you a while to get it done because there's a lot of information out there. But you can selectively read through it and find out. First thing I recommend is read the United States Constitution, which is a very small booklet. I don't know how long it takes to read, but it's not that long. And this is the New Hampshire State Constitution. Whatever state you come from, get your state constitution and read that also. Keep in mind that these are both common law documents. Common law is, there's a hierarchy in common law. It's God, the people, and government. Government's below us. That's why they're called public servants. Okay? They're not above us, they're below us. They don't make statutes regulating our behavior. We allow them through these books to tax us, to generate money to fund government, basically. But I don't allow them to tell me, like this moron down in New York. Oh, God, forgive me. What's his name?
Cuomo?
Bloomberg?
Oh, Bloomberg, yeah.
You can have a cup of tonic or a cup, whatever he said, soft drink, 32 ounces, but nothing bigger. Are you for real? Who the hell is he to tell you what you can drink? Didn't we have prohibition at one time? And now they're going to tell you what to drink. I can't have hamburgers either because hamburgers are no good. I'll tell you what. Let me do what I want to do, and when I die, that's my business, not yours. Stay out of my life, Bloomberg. You waste this.
Except they want to take half of what you have when you die. I want to say on the National Liberty Alliance website, if you go over to across the top menu to the sheriff area, you'll see a lot of supporting documents and a video there to support everything that Richie just said, and it really was set up that way. Our founders took the pyramid of governmental structure throughout history and they turned it upside down and they put you on the top, and that's why you're a sovereign. And a sovereign is not some mystical word that represents somebody who's a rogue citizen, rogue warrior of the state. Sovereign is simply the founding principle on which this country was founded, and you were considered to be a sovereign, which made you the king. Now, you could be king of your domain as long as you and your domain didn't violate someone else's domain or someone else's rights, fundamental rights, which meant you could do whatever you want, in particular with your body. So when somebody tells you you can't, you can't. Of course, what Bloomberg's doing is telling businesses they can't sell something over 64 ounces or something like that, I guess.
None of his business.
I know it isn't,
Yeah.
but that's a commerce issue. It's not really a personal violation, but there are plenty of your fundamental rights being walked on by government all the time. But it's fascinating. I wanted to say, when you start reading about the role of the sheriff and you are the top of the pyramid. Under that would be county, and under that would be the state, and under that would be the federal government. And that's how it works. And the federal government was set up with a compact between states called the Constitution of the United States, which is designed to, literally was written with the privileges that the federal government would have, the limitations. Everything else was reserved to the states and the people. So when you start reading this stuff, I just want to comment that there's a number of times when I would read some of the history and the background and the laws, and a lot of them are founded out of the Judeo-Christian principles, religious history, and it is sometimes feels like a spiritual element to this because it comes from such a righteous place, the way that this structure was designed. And of course, it's been horrifically perverted by a number of elements of the of the deep state as well as the international banking cartel, and in particular the Bar Association, which we've commented on quite a bit. But anyway, the sheriff area is a great place to look at here. But again, the civics course is profound. It will wake you up. You will be a woke individual if you go through that civics course on the National Liberty Alliance, and that ought to be a goal of yours, because otherwise you're asleep to what's really going on in the world around you. Anything else, Richie?
I wanted to say something, follow up what Dean said about sovereignty. A lot of the police departments have been fed a spoonful of garbage by somebody, I don't know who, telling them that the sovereign people are crazy, murderers, whatever they are. And I believe they use the term sovereign citizen. But what I wanted to say was this. The United States Constitution is a compact. A compact is an agreement between sovereigns. Here's how I want to support that. Article 7 of the New Hampshire State Constitution says, and I quote, "The people of this state have the sole and exclusive right of governing themselves as a free, sovereign, and independent state." All right, so who are the sovereigns? The people of this state. All right, if you need any more proof, then those two things, I don't know what they are, but you have to read these to understand that. The people are sovereign. Look, I live in my house, Dean lives in his house, I don't cause him any problems, and vice versa. No problems, we're good to go. That's the way we all live anyway, most of us. I don't need rules and regulations and statutes that don't apply to me, but the police enforce them because they're not aware of it. They think they've been brought up to think that statutes and codes do mean that. They don't mean it. And anybody that knows how to go to court can beat them. Oh, I shouldn't say anybody. The court system is corrupt. But theoretically, anyway, depending upon how far you want to go. Who wants to spend that kind of money, though? Our government's supposed to be working for us, and they're not. But the National Liberty Alliance has taught me all of this. Where to go, where to search for things. A lot of case laws. I must have hundreds of case laws at home that I printed off the computer, and I've got them filed if I need them. The right to travel, the right to bear arms, anything. To be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. Whatever your rights are, there is case law supporting it. And the purpose of a government, by the way, is to protect your rights. More specifically, your property, but people have a hard time coming to grips with that. Property is your thoughts, what I write down on a piece of paper, which is the same thing. What's coming out of my mouth now, it's not coming out of Dean's mouth, it's coming out of mine. I'm responsible for saying it. But I'm not hurting anybody. If you don't like it, turn the TV off, throw something at the TV. If you want to buy a new one, that's up to you. But people have the right to say what they want to say or do what they want to do. I mean, this is supposed to be America, the land of the free, home of the brave. We're going down the toilet now. And the only way to save it, I believe, because the only one that has a solution out there, is the National Liberty Alliance. Common law in the court of record, where you are in charge. You are the tribunal, the jury. So take that responsibility seriously next time you get a call to the jury, even though the state controls the jury system and they're not supposed to. Like Dean said, it's supposed to be the fourth branch of government. It's independent from the other three branches.
All right, Richie, thank you. We're close to being out of time. Anything you want to add?
No, thank you for
So,
watching, and thank you, National Liberty Alliance, for teaching me. I
So
appreciate
jump
it.
in, be responsible for educating yourself on self-rule, self-government rule. That's what this National Liberty Alliance is about. There's a plethora of information in there. It will inspire you, and it will educate you to take action. Thank you so much for watching us. Have a great day.
What's on next week?